The most successful film franchise of all time, under one of the most highest grossing producers of all time, seems to struggle to get a movie into the box office. Star Wars has not had a movie hit theater since 2019. And now the Rey movie is getting a new writer. I think this is writer number 4, or maybe it's 18. Who can keep track? Let's talk about Rey and also Ryan Gosling here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is my Wookiee co-pilot, Mr. VashSky. Vash, I'm so glad to have your insights on all of this today. Are you ready to talk about the movie that I don't want to say it's development hell, but perhaps it's in development purgatory, where some kind of recompense has to be made?
yes, some sacrifice to the Lucasfilm gods. I don't know. This is all very strange to me. So we have two different projects, right? We have Sean Levy's project and then this Rey movie, and we have movement across the board here. This might be a competition, Jonas, but we got to get into it.
This is fascinating. This one dropped on Friday evening. What time on Friday evening? According to this, 1:21, so that is Pacific Standard Time. So this one came out at 4:21, guys. I'm not going there. 4:21 on Friday, which means that they were probably asked not to publish this until Friday afternoon, after everyone has gone to bed from their YouTube channels. But of course, we talk about this stuff all the time. And if you want to get this stuff as early as possible, of course, follow us all on X or go to thatparkplace.com, for all the news that should be fun over there. This one, however, Daisy Ridley's Star Wars movie enlists writer George Nolfi, and this was an exclusive. The scribe behind Ocean's 12 is the latest to take on New Jedi Order. Oakley dokley. George Nolfi, known for his screenplay work on movies such as Bourne Ultimatum and Ocean's 12, has been tapped to write New Jedi Order, the Daisy Ridley-centric Star Wars movie. The hiring signals continued faith in the project. Oh my. Is that what that signals?
That's not quite what I got out of it, I will say.
Vash, who would you say has faith in this project at this point?
Well, it's certainly not us. I don't know who has real faith in this project. I mean, didn't they debut this at Star Wars Celebration the last go around that was taking place at, and they had Daisy Ridley's Rey, and they was waving it, and then we didn't hear anything up until Charmin Obaid-Chinoy was formally attached to the project. We've had some writers on the project, they fall off and everything. And honestly, when you look at the trajectory of Lucasfilm in this kind of extended time period, it's like, oh, this is taking the same trajectory as all these other projects. Now it's like, whoa, hang on a second, we got a writer, and we're putting him on, and we're gonna, announce it at 1 p.m. on a Friday? I'm just not seeing where the confidence is said to be for this thing. Just because you add in people, it doesn't mean that, as we've seen from other Lucasfilm projects, it doesn't mean that it gives these things any more credence. I would say this might be competing with the recent news that the Sean Levy film just got Ryan Gosling. Now that might move some needles.
Right. And we will be talking about that one as well. But let's talk about George Nolfi here for just a minute. And of course, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, documentary filmmaker Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, is due to make her narrative feature debut with a project with Ridley, due to reprise the role of lightsaber-wielding Rey Skywalker. No, she's a Palpatine. The character she played in Disney's sequel trilogy. The new story is said to take place 15 years after the events seen in 2019's Rise of Skywalker, with Ridley's character now a mentor to a new crop of Jedis. If Lucasfilm wrote this themselves, wouldn't it be Jedi? Just
yes,
plural without the S there. But that might be why they got certain details wrong. Let me explain this for those of you who are not familiar with Star Wars. The arch villain of the Star Wars series is Sheev Palpatine. In the prequel trilogy, Palpatine, who may have been around for thousands of years before this, I mean, it's kind of been around forever, is a senator from Naboo at the time of the prequel trilogy who rises in the Galactic Senate is it the Galactic? At that point, it's the Republic Senate, through a little bit of political shenanigans, convinces Jar Jar to vote for him to have emergency powers. And they vote him in as essentially the Emperor. And then the Star Wars trilogy, the original trilogy, is all about Luke Skywalker, the son of Anakin Skywalker, taking him out. But it turns out in the sequel trilogy that after he's dead, turns out he was alive the whole time. And his granddaughter also turns out to be a Palpatine. You don't find out until the third of those movies that she implants herself with the Resistance, not to be confused with the Republic, and she falls in love with no, she doesn't really fall in love with him. She convinces him to love her, at least. There's a kiss somewhere in there, and she takes out Palpatine and then declares herself a Skywalker and becomes a hero of the Resistance and perhaps a newer Republic there, whatever they're going to call that. So, I mean, classic Palpatine when it comes down to it. From a certain point of view, you could view her as the hero of the series, but she has essentially eliminated all competition and has an uncontested role as a hero of the new regime here. So classic Palpatine, in fact. So I think she's earned the name of Palpatine. Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson were initially writers on the project before working on it before Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy was brought on. By the time Ridley was revealed as returning in April 2023, Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight was clacking away at the keyboard. If you followed that Park Place, you knew that he was busy on so many things that it couldn't possibly be the Ray movie, which we were about to get a script. We were about to get a script, and looks like here January 27th, 28th, 29th, we're totally about to get a script, right? But by October 24, no longer on the project. Vash, what do you think about this new Palpatine movie they're going to be doing?
Oh, yeah, new Palpatine movie. I would like to see more of the Palpatine lore right here now. Well, it's going to be, what, 15 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker? Is that what they're saying here? The trilogy is just so bad. It's so absolutely terrible, because as you were going through it, which, by the way, Lauren, I can hear him typing away in the chat right now. I'm so sorry. But when you were going through it and you were going through the events, yes, it is the third movie in which we find out she's a Palpatine after the second movie in which it was revealed at that time, hey, your parents are nobody. They're just nothing there. And then we get a complete 180 on the next film, because that was seen as mostly unsatisfying to hardcore fans. And honestly, that's kind of representative of all of Lucasfilm. They're just throwing stuff at the wall. They're just trying to get anything to stick. Yeah, if it's inconsistent, don't even worry about it. We'll just keep barreling through right here. Meanwhile, the franchise gets diminished more and more and more. And I don't see really this changing anything. In fact, I see them making, all the same mistakes that they made before. Or what is the line there? Entirely new ones. That's what's from the Jurassic Park, the Lost World.
Lost World, Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. Which I always thought that they should do Jurassic World: The Lost Park, but whatever. In my opinion, on all of this is vaporware until something finally happens. I do think they're actually shooting the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. That's not in question to me. They've built sets, they've worked on this. With the way Disney goes, maybe they are going back for 2 or 3 or 4 or 8 rounds of reshoots, because I'm going to say the greatest chef in the world could serve, let's say, a Hollywood executive, perhaps a brunette Hollywood executive, any meal in the world, and it be cooked to perfection, and impossibly tastes might not line up. And even though she's not consuming it herself, she may send it back many times, causing reshoots and refilmings of this meal until that meal costs $400 to maybe $600 million, which is, according to UK tax filings, how much money they spent on Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker. They've almost. I would not be surprised if they spent as much as it cost to buy Lucasfilm on making these films at this point. Mandalorian Grogu movie looks like it's going to happen. And now we're hearing, and I consider this actually good news, Star Wars eyes Ryan Gosling for starring role in new movie by Deadpool and Wolverine director. But will it actually happen? This by HT Counter. In a surprising announcement, The Hollywood Reporter revealed that Ryan Gosling is in talks to star in Sean Levy's upcoming Star Wars movie, which has reportedly been languishing in development. Hey, there's that, without the word purgatory, though, for the past 2 years. I don't think Sean Levy has been in charge of that languishing. It sounds like it's actually moving at this point. So we essentially, at this point, have a Rey movie that is back to, sounds like square one, because this is, I don't know how many directors, maybe they'll hold on to a line here or there, like Joss Whedon's What Happens to a Frog When It Gets Hit by Electricity line that I think was the only line that he actually wrote in X-Men. Maybe it's a different one, but somehow survived to the David Hayter version of that, the Bryan Singer version, I should say. Or is this something where movies just go to die at Lucasfilm? We can't even list out all the productions that have stopped at Lucasfilm. They haven't gotten anything out the door that's been successful since 2019, other than Mandalorian and Grogu. Sorry, The Mandalorian season 1 and 2.
You are exactly right. I mean, it is fascinating just how many projects that we've heard of and never actually get made. David Benioff, D.B. Weiss comes to mind. Remember Josh Trank? Remember that one? Patty Jenkins, Taika Waititi, Ryan Johnson, Justin Simeon. There's just so many people attached to so many of these projects that just don't go anywhere. So yeah, like, okay, the Rey movie gets another writer. Whoop-de-doo. Let's see what actually happens. But this one right here, getting such a high profile actor kind of signed up in advance, that's a different tack than we've seen from Lucasfilm. And so I think this project is definitely being helmed by people who understand the history of Lucasfilm and want to go in a different direction with that in order to generate some buzz. So I think this one, it seems to be really on a trajectory that seems to indicate that it will actually get produced. I really don't have much faith in the Rey movie. I mean, we'll see. You know, Hollywood Reporter always saying the most valuable cinematic asset is Rey. Oh my gosh, we got to get this made. But I just don't really have confidence behind any of the team involved with that. Versus this one seems to be made by somebody who kind of understands the ins and outs of Hollywood, franchise filmmaking, and so forth.
Yeah, at this point, I think even the people who would originally disagree with the idea that Kathleen Kennedy is the problem out there at Lucasfilm have to be thinking like, when is she going to leave? When are you going to get somebody new out there at Lucasfilm,
Right.
even if just for appearance's sake? And I don't want Dave Filoni in that position, but I think Filoni would actually get something into theaters. He has had films go into theaters, and they weren't great. Forgive me, Clone Wars, the animated movie, was something that if you play it at 1.5x speed, it's about the pace that it needs to be, but I'm not sure if it's feature length at that point. And the Clone Wars had a long time to build up to something that was, I would say, pretty great at the end. By the way, Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3 beat Skeleton Crew in ratings in 2023. So there is a pretty good case to be made that Star Wars just needs to be animated from this point forward. That's a pure business take right there. It's cheaper to make, and that audience keeps wanting to show up for that. And maybe stop announcing projects for Star Wars. Just maybe a week before they hit theater, say, by the way, here's a trailer for this awesome movie. You can go see it next week. That is how bad it is at Lucasfilm right now. Don't tell anyone you're working on one of these things until you are ready to say it'll be out, let's say 6 months. Vash, what is going to be the thing that has to happen in order for all of this to be exciting again?
Well, we need scripts, and we probably need to go back into production, at least for these current projects, and then that way people can say, oh, look, they're actually working on something. But I agree with your initial statement, which is, I gotta get rid of Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, there is no excitement, there's no buzz surrounding any of these projects with her name attached. That's just how it goes. As soon as she's out, and I would have the franchise go dormant at least for 5 years, upon the next project in a post Kathleen Kennedy world, that will get viewership. That will get people's interest and excitement attached to the Star Wars brand once again. Because right now, I think everything is kind of tainted, I would say, by the presence or by the involvement of Kathleen Kennedy. It's just when her name is on the executive producer or producer role, you know, you kind of know what you're getting, especially if it has the Star Wars brand attached to it. In a post Kathleen Kennedy world, you know, the sky's the limit, depending on who they actually get. So that right now, I think for the minds of fans, I think that's the thing holding them back from really thrusting themselves all into the Star Wars universe once again.
Yep, I totally agree. Now, with that being said, we want to throw this to our audience. Are we just naysayers and doom and gloom here on Star Wars? George Nolfi, who worked on Ocean's 12, which is a film that definitely is technically in the Ocean's franchise. I have not seen Ocean's 8, so I can't say it's the worst, but I would say 11 and 13 are in my top 2 in that collection of 4 right there. Or Bourne Ultimatum, which I don't remember which one that is. But are you excited about his participation in the Star Wars universe and the Rey movie? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit the like button if you found this video informative in any way. And of course, if you haven't done it yet, consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.